Hey kids! Do you like token drop timing physics games? They sure did. Here's Simpsons Kooky Carnival. This one almost looks like a pinball machine, which seems convenient since this does come to us from Stern Pinball. It shouldn't surprise you, but they tend to focus on pinball. This is one of the very few Kiddie Casino offerings from these guys. Before this game, they had made Simpsons Pinball Party. I bring this up because it looks like Kooky Carnival is repurposing several assets from the pinball game. So the objective of this game is real simple. Drop your token down the fun slide and try to spell win. There's several holes littered across the board that issue tickets, but you only really care about 3 spots in particular. Getting your token in Homer's Donut gives you the W. Rolling past Bart and into the Screamatorium grants you the I. And finally, dunking the comic book guy gets you the N. While each of these letters grants a small ticket bonus, spelling all of these consecutively pays out the Kooky Award. The order you get them doesn't matter, but it has to be done in a row. The copy I'm playing on gives me a few tries before it clears all of my progress on the letters. This means you can't approach this like some other rotational payout games. You typically won't run into scenarios where you can swoop in after partial progress towards the win. You gotta earn it with this one. The manual has several ticket-related settings that may affect this payout. It doesn't elaborate much on ranges for these or what they directly affect. Only default values are specified. The settings related to payout percent seem to affect the letter bonuses. I'm guessing this because on different times I've played this game, these values keep moving around. The Kooky Award appears to be hard set, as there is a setting called Minimum Kooky Award. And no, I said it correctly. This is the spelling in the manual. I'm sure it's just an Albany expression I'm unfamiliar with. The strategy for winning this game feels like a delicate balancing act. You need to both time the token drop and aim it correctly. For Bart, you don't need to aim, just time the drop with when Bart is somewhat past the middle. Homer and Comic Book Guy are far trickier. They have these swinging boards that have little room for error. I'm finding that the right timing requires your token to reach this board just barely before the end of the board's swing, returning to the neutral position. The board has a lot of characters to choose from for your aiming reference point. Choose your favorite, get your timing right, and then... The aiming feels simple enough, but on some angles, you can actually send your coin into the hole below your dispenser. I'm currently playing this on the original physical token copy of this game. I'm not really sure how the game controls may change if you're playing on a copy that was updated with modern digital crediting systems. To add a third aspect to the balancing act, I honestly feel like the power you put behind your token drop is important for both of these letters. A soft token drop is good enough for Bart, but for the other two, a forceful token deposit could be the difference between making it over and just barely missing the mark. The biggest issue you need to look out for is how many tokens are littered on the board. These can absolutely trip your token off balance or break your momentum on what seems to be a perfect drop. So this game does have a feature where it shakes the board to clear off all the excess tokens, but of course dynamic features like these won't always work with games as old as these ones. If you've seen some of my other videos, you can probably guess what I'm going to say next. Old arcade games have
Say the line, Bart!
natural wear and tear. If the token litter makes the game unplayable, you can always just ask the arcade to clear it manually. Otherwise, good luck weaving around the kooky coins. Forgetting the tickets, this is an amusing game. The sound and art direction all feel faithful with this one.
Still better than Homer. Good, but would you be as successful in a parallel universe? No!
But I'm only a casual Simpsons fan at best, so a lot of the more obscure references are going over my head. However, I wouldn't really call this a fun game. If you strip all the Simpsons branding off of it and just examine the gameplay loop, the overall experience feels kinda shallow. I don't want to come off entirely negative. Most of these redemption games challenge the definition of game for me. I do appreciate what they were trying to do with this one. It's an interesting novelty and a curious piece of gaming history in the Simpsons arcade catalog. But if you're looking for a more fleshed out Simpsons arcade experience, I'd recommend you check out the beat 'em up from '91. Now let's take off our fun glasses and reevaluate the game as a ticket farming degenerate. After labbing Kooky Carnival for a few weeks, it feels doable. It's a fair challenge and you can consistently replicate this jackpot. Just try to play when the board isn't a complete mess of tokens. There are settings for targeting the payout percentage, but I don't feel like this is affecting the gameplay. The only quirk I'm running into is that sometimes these ramps will randomly pause. When this happens, just wait it out and eventually it'll start moving as normal. Placing this one on the tier list, I feel a bit torn. This is a very honest, skill-based jackpot, but I have some issues with the pricing model to get the Kooky award. In a specific scenario where you are playing this at an arcade where the jackpot aligns with the arcade's baseline value, and the 3 credits to play also aligns with the price to play of similar games, then this is an easy S tier. The only limit is your skill. It's nice to see one of the older games with a ticket range that actually aged pretty well. My only reservation with this one is the 3 separate token entries for each letter. You seriously need to do the math with this game and make sure the arcade priced it fairly when considering the 3 tokens in and 1 minimum Kooky award out. There could even exist scenarios where some arcades will intentionally nerf the Kooky award because they see that tickets are also issued by the win letters. This tier list tries to look at the games themselves in favorable situations and not fixate too hard on specific arcade franchise configurations, so I think S tier with a small asterisk regarding the token payments is a fair placement. Any single one of these games can have their viability hindered if the arcade feels like it. Not to mention the natural wear and tear, and if you like timing-based games, because I personally prefer vulturing a rotational payout game that doesn't need me to sit there and learn